Captain Jareth stood at the edge of the icy cavern, his breath forming small clouds in the freezing air. His team of explorers, a mix of humans and aliens, shivered as the cold seeped into their suits. They had traveled far to reach this abandoned colony, buried under layers of ice on a forgotten planet. The goal was simple: find the ancient human artifact hidden inside the mysterious chamber. But nothing about this mission felt simple. The entrance to the chamber loomed ahead, a massive metal door covered in strange markings. Symbols from old Earth, written in a language few could understand now. "This is it," Jareth whispered, brushing his gloved fingers across the engravings. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on him. "Captain, the scanners are picking up energy readings from behind the door," said Arin, a tall, blue-skinned alien with sharp features. "Whatever is in there, it's still active." Jareth nodded. "Then we'll have to be careful." This place was meant to stay hidden. Using an ancient human code, Jareth began working on the door's control panel. Sparks flew as he bypassed systems that hadn't been touched in centuries. The team waited in tense silence. Suddenly, with a deep rumble, the door slid open, revealing a dark corridor that stretched into the heart of the colony. As they stepped inside, their lights flickered across the walls. The corridor was lined with ancient machinery, long dead and covered in frost. The air was heavy, almost suffocating, and the sound of their boots echoed eerily. "This place gives me chills," muttered Kalia, the group's medic. "Stay alert," Jareth said firmly. "We don't know what traps might still be active." The corridor led to a massive chamber, its ceiling so high it disappeared into darkness. In the center stood a large pedestal, and atop it rested the artifact, a shimmering orb pulsing with faint blue light. The orb seemed alive, its glow casting strange shadows across the walls. Jareth's heart raced. This was it. The stories of humanity's ancient ingenuity were true. The artifact was real. But as he stepped closer, the floor trembled beneath their feet. A low hum filled the chamber, growing louder with each passing second. "It's a defense system," Arin shouted, pulling out her weapon. Before anyone could react, the walls came to life. Mechanical sentinels, shaped like humanoid figures, emerged from hidden compartments. Their glowing red eyes locked onto the intruders. "Get behind cover," Jareth yelled, drawing his blaster. The team scattered as the sentinels opened fire, bright red beams slicing through the air. Jareth crouched behind a fallen pillar, his mind racing. These machines were old, but their precision was deadly. He had to think fast. He scanned the chamber, his eyes landing on the orb. It wasn't just a relic, it was the control center for the defenses. "Arin, cover me!" Jareth shouted, darting toward the pedestal. Arin unleashed a volley of plasma shots, distracting the sentinels. Jareth slid to the base of the pedestal and began examining the orb. It was covered in intricate symbols, glowing faintly under his touch. He recognized some of them from old Earth archive symbols for power, control, and security. "Captain, hurry!" Kalia shouted as a beam narrowly missed her. Jareth pressed his hands against the orb, searching for a way to deactivate the sentinels. The orb's surface shifted under his touch, and suddenly, a holographic interface appeared, displaying Earth's ancient language. "Of course," Jareth muttered. He typed in the override code he had memorized from the archives. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the hum of the sentinels ceased, and they froze in place. The room fell silent, except for the team's heavy breathing. Jareth exhaled in relief. It's over. For now. As the team regrouped, the orb began to glow brighter. A voice echoed through the chamber, soft but commanding. "Human presence detected. Initiating sequence." "What did you do?" Kalia asked, panic in her voice. "I didn't do anything," Jareth said, stepping back from the pedestal. The orb projected a hologram of a human figure, clad in armor that glimmered like starlight. The figure's eyes burned with intensity as it spoke. "To those who awaken the chamber, know this: humanity's greatest weapon is not our technology, but our will to survive. You have opened the path to the future." Before anyone could respond, the chamber began to shake. The walls cracked as beams of blue energy shot upward, carving a hole through the ice above. The orb floated into the air, pulsing with power. "What's happening?" Aaron shouted. Jareth stared at the glowing orb, realization dawning on him. "It's sending a signal to something out there." "To what?" Kalia asked, fear in her eyes. Jareth didn't answer. Deep down, he already knew. Somewhere in the vastness of space, something ancient and powerful had heard the call. And it was coming. The team scrambled out of the chamber as the tremors grew stronger. As they reached the surface, Jareth looked back at the crumbling ruins. The artifact's light still shone, piercing through the ice like a beacon. "Whatever's coming," Jareth said quietly, "it's going to change everything." And with that, they disappeared into the storm, leaving the forbidden chamber behind its secrets now awakened. The derelict human ship drifted silently through the void, its once proud hull now scarred and lifeless. Captain Jareth stood on the bridge of his small exploration craft, staring at the colossal wreck. The ship was ancient, likely over 1,000 years old, and bore the emblem of Earth's lost fleets, a reminder of humanity's forgotten glory. "This is it," Jareth said, his voice steady. "The Echo Voyager." The last ship rumored to hold the star map. His crew, a mix of humans and alien explorers, exchanged uneasy glances. Aaron, the ship's tech specialist, tapped her clawed fingers on the console. "Captain, I'm picking up faint energy readings from inside." "It shouldn't be possible after all this time. Yet here we are," Jareth replied, strapping on his gear. "Whatever's keeping this ship alive is tied to the map. Let's move." The team suited up and boarded the Echo Voyager through a gaping tear in its hull. Inside, the air was stale, the corridors dimly lit by flickering emergency light. The ship's design was unmistakably human, sturdy, utilitarian, and built for war. "Stay close," Jareth ordered as their footsteps echoed down the empty halls. The silence felt oppressive, like the ship itself was holding its breath. After an hour of navigating through debris and collapsed passages, they reached the heart of the ship, the data vault. The massive door was sealed, but a faint hum suggested it was still powered. "This is where the map should be," Jareth said, examining the control panel. It was covered in ancient human symbols, barely legible after centuries of wear. "Can you open it?" Aaron asked. Jareth smirked. "I didn't come all this way to fail now." He began inputting codes, piecing together fragments of ancient human language he had studied for years. The door groaned, then slowly slid open, revealing a dark chamber bathed in a faint blue glow dot. In the center of the room was the star map, a massive sphere of light and energy, suspended in midair. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat, casting intricate patterns of stars and planets across the walls. "This is incredible," whispered Kalia, the team's medic. "It's alive." Jareth approached cautiously. "This map could lead us to the lost colonies, places humanity abandoned during the Great Wars, maybe even Earth itself." But as he reached out to touch the sphere, the ship suddenly came alive. Lights flickered, and a deep mechanical voice boomed through the chamber. "Unauthorized access detected. Activating security protocols." The walls shifted, revealing automated defense drones that hummed to life. Their red eyes locked onto the intruders, and weapons began to charge. Jareth yelled, diving for cover as the drones opened fire. Bright beams of energy scorched the air, narrowly missing him. Aaron fired back with her plasma rifle, but the drones were fast and heavily armored. "We can't fight them all," she shouted. Jareth's mind raced. The map wasn't just a relic, it was connected to the ship's systems. If he could interface with it, he might be able to shut down the defenses. "Cover me," he ordered, running toward the sphere. The drones intensified their attack, forcing the team into a desperate firefight. Jareth reached the map and placed his hand on its surface. It was warm, almost alive. Symbols appeared, floating in the air before him, demanding a response. "Come on, think," Jareth muttered, his fingers moving across the holographic interface. He entered the override codes he had learned from old human archives. The ship shuddered, and the drones froze mid-attack. The voice returned, calmer this time. "Access granted. Welcome, descendant of Earth." The room fell silent except for the team's heavy breathing. Jareth stared at the map as it began to shift and expand, revealing new details. Planets, star systems, and hidden coordinates appeared, glowing brighter with each second. "What is this?" Kelly asked, stepping closer. "It's more than a map," Jareth said, his voice filled with awe. "It's a record of humanity's last exodus. Every colony, every fleet, every secret they left behind, it's all here." But before anyone could celebrate, the map began to pulse erratically. The ship trembled, and the voice spoke again. "Warning, signal detected. Hostile presence inbound." "What does that mean?" Arin demanded. Jareth's face darkened. "The map isn't just showing us the way, it's broadcasting our location." As if on cue, the ship's sensors blared to life. Arin checked her scanner and froze. "Captain, there's a fleet heading straight for us. And they're not friendly." Jareth clenched his fists. "They must have been tracking the signal. They don't want anyone uncovering humanity's secrets." The team scrambled back to their ship, the Echo Voyager shaking violently as the hostile fleet drew closer. Jareth carried a small data core containing a copy of the map.as they launched into space. Enemy ships emerged from hyperspace, their weapons locking onto the Voyager. "We're out of time," Arin shouted, setting a course for a nearby asteroid field. The small craft weaved through the debris, evading fire as Jareth gripped the data core tightly. Despite the danger, a faint smile crossed his face. "Whatever they're trying to hide," he said, "we'll find it. Humanity's legacy isn't lost, it's just waiting to be reclaimed." The ship vanished into the darkness, leaving the Echo Voyager and its secrets behind as the enemy fleet closed in. But the map signal continued to broadcast, a beacon calling out to anyone who dared to follow it. The planet loomed ahead, a barren wasteland of craters and jagged cliffs. Captain Jareth adjusted the controls of his sleek exploration ship, the Odyssey, as it descended into the planet's thin atmosphere. His crew, a mix of seasoned explorers, sat quietly, each lost in their thought. They all knew the stakes. This wasn't just another mission. This was a chance to uncover one of humanity's most guarded secrets. Captain Arin, the team's tech specialist, broke the silence. "We're getting strange readings from the surface. Massive energy spikes, but they're erratic." "Let me guess," Jareth said, his voice steady. "Right where the vault is supposed to be." Arin nodded. "Exactly," Jareth smirked. "Of course it is." The Odyssey touched down on the rocky terrain, its landing gear sinking slightly into the dust. As the crew disembarked, the harsh wind howled around them, carrying a faint metallic scent. Ahead of them, a massive structure jutted out of the ground, a towering cube of smooth black metal, its surface reflecting the pale light of the planet's dying sun. "This is it," Jareth said, stepping forward. "The Echo Vault." The vault was a relic of humanity's golden age, built to store their most valuable knowledge and artifacts. But after humanity's near extinction centuries ago, the vaults were lost, their locations erased from history. Until now. The team approached cautiously, their boots crunching on the rocky ground. As they neared the vault, a low hum filled the air, growing louder with each step. Strange symbols began to glow faintly on the surface of the cube, shifting and swirling as if alive. "This is incredible," whispered Kalia, the group's medic. "Let's not get too excited," Jareth said, eyeing the glowing symbols. "A vault like this wouldn't be left unguarded." Arin stepped forward, her portable scanner in hand. "These symbols, they're a form of old Earth code. I think I can interface with it." "Do it," Jareth said, his hand resting on the blaster at his hip. Arin knelt by the cube, her fingers dancing over her scanner as she worked to decode the symbols. The hum grew louder, and the air seemed to vibrate around them. "Almost there," Arin muttered. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. The symbols flared brightly, and a deep, mechanical voice echoed from the vault. "Unauthorized access detected. Defense systems activated." The crew barely had time to react as the ground erupted around them. Drones shot out of hidden compartments, their sleek metal bodies glinting in the light. Their red eyes glowed with deadly intent as they hovered menacingly. "Get to cover," Jareth shouted, drawing his blaster. The drones opened fire, bright beams of energy slicing through the air. The crew scattered, taking cover behind nearby rocks and debris. Jareth fired back, his shots striking one of the drones and sending it crashing to the ground. "There's too many of them," Kalia yelled, narrowly dodging a beam. "I'm working on it," Aaron shouted from behind a boulder, frantically typing on her scanner. "I just need a little more time." Jareth gritted his teeth, his mind racing. The vault's defenses were designed to repel intruders, but there had to be a way to shut them down. His eyes landed on a glowing panel near the base of the cube. "Aaron!" he called out. "Can you override the system from that panel?" Aaron glanced at the panel and nodded. "Maybe, but I'll need cover." "Done," Jareth said. He signaled to Kalia and the others. "Focus fire on the drones. Give Aaron a clear shot." The team unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts, drawing the drone's attention. Aaron sprinted to the panel, her scanner in hand. She plugged in her device and began working furiously, her fingers flying across the interface. The drones swarmed toward her, their weapons charging. Jareth fired rapidly, taking down 2 drones in quick succession. Kalia threw an energy grenade, the explosion ripping through another cluster. "Hurry up, Aaron!" Jareth yelled. "I'm trying." Aaron snapped, sweat dripping down her face. The hum from the vault grew deafening, and the symbols on the cube began to shift faster. Then, with a final keystroke, Aaron shouted, "Got it!" The drones froze mid-air, their red eyes dimming as the defense systems powered down. The hum faded, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. Jareth approached the cube, his blaster still in hand. "Good work, Aaron. Now let's see what's inside." The symbols on the vault shifted one last time, forming a doorway that slid open with a hiss. Inside, the team found a small chamber filled with glowing orbs, each one pulsing with light. "What are these?" Kalia asked, her voice filled with wonder. Jareth picked up one of the orbs. As he touched it, a holographic projection appeared, showing a vivid scene of Earth's past vast cities, advanced technology, and humanity at its peak. "These are echoes," Jareth said softly. "Records of everything humanity achieved before the fall." The crew stared in awe, but their moment of triumph was cut short. Aaron's scanner beeped urgently. "Captain," she said, her voice trembling. "The vault, it's sending a signal." Jareth's eyes narrowed. "To what?" Aaron shook her head. "I don't know. But whatever it is, it's coming fast." Jareth tightened his grip on the orb. "Then, we'd better be ready." The vault door sealed behind them as the team returned to the Odyssey, the echoes of humanity's past now in their hands and the unknown closing in. The massive doors of the ancient vault groaned as they slid open, revealing a dimly lit chamber. Captain Ethan Carter stepped inside, his boots echoing against the cold metal floor. His team followed closely, their flashlights cutting through the shadows. The air was thick with dust, and the faint hum of dormant machinery filled the silence. "This is it," Ethan said, his voice low. "The Terra Vault. The last place humanity left untouched after the fall." Aaron, the team's historian, glanced around in awe. "They say the Guardians of Terra were stationed here, protecting Earth's most valuable secret." "Let's hope they're just stories," muttered Kale, the team's weapons expert. His hand rested on the hilt of his plasma rifle, ready for anything. The Terra Vault was one of Earth's final strongholds before the Great Collapse. It was rumored to house a treasure that could restore humanity's lost power, a key to rebuilding their shattered worlds. But no one knew exactly what it was. The team moved deeper into the vault, their footsteps muffled by a layer of dust. The walls were lined with faded murals depicting humanity's history, their rise to greatness, their wars, and their eventual retreat to the stars. "This place feels alive," Aaron whispered, her eyes scanning the intricate carvings. Ethan nodded. "Stay alert. We don't know what's waiting for us." As they reached the heart of the vault, the floor beneath them began to glow faintly. Lines of light spread out, forming a massive symbol on the ground, a circle with a starburst at its center. The room pulsed with energy, and the team froze. "What's happening?" Kale asked, gripping his rifle. Before anyone could answer, A deep voice echoed through the chamber. "Intruders detected. State your purpose." The lights brightened, revealing towering figures standing at the edges of the room. They were humanoid, but made of gleaming metal, their eyes glowing with an intense blue light. "The Guardians," Erin whispered, her voice trembling. Ethan stepped forward, raising his hands cautiously. "We're not here to harm anyone. We're explorers. Humanity sent us to reclaim what was lost." One of the Guardians stepped closer, its heavy footsteps shaking the ground. "You seek the legacy of Terra. Prove your worth, or face judgment." "What does that mean?" Kale growled, his finger hovering over the trigger. Before the Guardian could respond, the floor shifted. A glowing platform rose from the ground, revealing 3 panels with intricate symbols. Aaron stepped closer, studying the panels. "It's a test," she said. "The symbols represent ancient human values, wisdom, courage, and unity. We have to choose correctly, or we're done for," Ethan finished. He turned to his team. "All right, everyone. Think carefully. This vault was built to protect humanity's greatest treasure. What would they value most?" Cal frowned. "Courage. You don't build something like this without bravery." Aaron shook her head. "No, it's wisdom. Knowledge is what made humanity great." Ethan looked at the third symbol, a circle of hands joined together. "Unity," he said quietly. "When humanity was divided, they fell. This vault wasn't built by one person, it was built by everyone working together." The Guardians watched silently, their glowing eyes unblinking. Ethan took a deep breath and pressed the symbol for unity. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the room filled with light, and the Guardians lowered their weapons. "You've chosen wisely," the lead Guardian said. "The legacy of Terra is yours to claim. Step forward." The platform shifted again, revealing a small, crystalline orb. It floated in midair, glowing softly. "This is it?" Kyle asked, his voice filled with disbelief. "A rock?" Aaron's eyes widened. "It's not a rock. It's a data core, a repository of all human knowledge, technology, and culture. Everything we lost, it's all in there." Ethan reached out and carefully took the orb. The moment his fingers touched it, images flooded his mind, scenes of Earth's past, blueprints for advanced machines, and solutions to humanity's most pressing problems. "This could save us," Ethan said, his voice filled with awe. "It's everything we've been searching for." But before they could celebrate, the vault began to shake violently. The Guardian's eyes flashed red. "Warning, hostile forces detected. Vault integrity compromised." "What's going on?" Aaron shouted as debris rained down around them. Kyle checked his scanner, his face grim. "We've got company. A fleet just entered orbit. They're locking onto our position." "They must have been tracking us," Ethan said, clutching the orb. "We need to get out of here. Now." The team sprinted back through the vault as the Guardians moved to defend it. Outside, the sky was filled with enemy ships descending rapidly. The Odyssey roared to life as the crew boarded, its engines straining against the planet's gravity. Kyle manned the weapons, firing at the pursuing ships, while Erin worked to decode the orb's data. As the Odyssey broke through the atmosphere, enemy fire tore through its hull. Alarms blared, and the ship shook violently. "Hold together," Ethan shouted, gripping the controls. With a final burst of speed, the Odyssey jumped to hyperspace, leaving the hostile fleet behind. In the quiet of the ship's cabin, Ethan held the orb tightly. "They tried to stop us," he said, "because they're afraid of what this means. Humanity's legacy isn't lost. We'll rebuild." Aaron placed a hand on his shoulder. "It won't be easy." Ethan nodded. "Nothing worth fighting forever is." The ship vanished into the stars, carrying the hope of humanity's future with it. The darkness of space stretched endlessly, broken only by the faint glow of distant stars. The Eternal Dawn, the flagship of humanity's last fleet, drifted silently. Inside the ship, Captain Mara Vance stood at the bridge, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. The fleet had been running for weeks, evading enemy patrols, hoping to reach a safe haven. Captain, Lieutenant Rin said from the comm station, the enemy is closing in. We've detected multiple signatures, looks like a full battle group. Mara clenched her fists. She had seen too many battles, too many losses. Now, humanity's survival rested on the shoulders of this battered fleet. How long before they reach us? She asked. Less than an hour, Rin replied grimly. The fleet wasn't equipped for another fight. They had used up most of their resources in the last skirmish, barely escaping with their lives. Now, they were cornered, with nowhere left to run. Mara turned to the ship's AI Athena. The glowing blue figure hovered beside her, its calm demeanor a stark contrast to the tension on the bridge. Athena, Mara said, options? Athena's voice was steady. We can attempt to negotiate, though the likelihood of success is less than 5%. Alternatively, we can prepare for a final stand. Mara frowned. Negotiation was out of the question. The Exurics, the alien race hunting them, had made their intentions clear. They wanted humanity erased, every last trace of them wiped from existence. Send a message to the fleet, Mara said. I want all ships ready for combat. This might be our last stand, but we'll make them pay for every life they take. Rin nodded and relayed the order. Across the fleet, the crews prepared for battle. Engineers worked frantically to repair damaged systems, pilots readied their fighters, and soldiers armed themselves for boarding actions. ASA the fleet moved into formation. The tension on the Eternal Dawn's bridge grew thicker. Mara knew her people were scared. They had lost their homes, their families, and their future. But they still had each other. Captain, Rin said, his voice shaking slightly, the enemy fleet is here. On the holographic display, dozens of Xerix warships appeared, their sleek, menacing shapes glowing with an ominous red light. They outnumbered the human fleet 3-1. The Exurics hailed them. A towering alien figure appeared on the main screen, its eyes cold and unfeeling. Humans, it said, its voice a low growl. Surrender now, and we will grant you a quick death. Resist, and you will suffer. Mara stepped forward, her face hard. We've heard your lies before. If you think we'll go down without a fight, you don't know humanity. The alien's eyes narrowed. So be it. The transmission ended. The Xerix fleet advanced, their weapons charging. Mara turned to her crew. This is it. Fight like you've never fought before. For humanity, the battle began with a deafening roar. Human fighters launched from their carriers, weaving through enemy fire to strike at the Xerix ships. The Eternal Dawn fired its main cannon, a bright beam of energy slicing through the void and striking one of the enemy cruisers. The Xerix ships retaliated, their plasma weapons tearing through the human fleet. Ships exploded in blinding flashes of light, debris scattering in all directions. Mara barked orders, her voice steady despite the chaos. Focus fire on their carriers. Cut off their reinforcements. The fleet followed her commands, their combined firepower taking down one of the enemy carriers. But the Exurics were relentless. One by one, human ships fell, their crews sacrificing themselves to buy time for the others. On the Eternal Dawn, the situation was dire. The ship shook violently as enemy fire breached its shields. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and smoke filled the air. Shields are down. Rin shouted. Hull integrity at 40%. Mara gritted her teeth. They couldn't hold out much longer. But then, Athena spoke. Captain, I've identified a potential weakness in the enemy fleet. Their flagship's core is unstable. If we can destroy it, the resulting explosion could take out most of their ships. Mara's eyes widened. What's the catch? The Eternal Dawn would need to get dangerously close to deliver the final blow, Athena said. Survival chances are less than 1%. Mara didn't hesitate. We'll do it. Set a course for the flagship. Rin looked at her, his face pale. Captain, are you sure? We have no choice, Mara said. If we don't stop them here, humanity is finished. The Eternal Dawn broke formation, charging straight at the Xerix flagship. The enemy ships focused their fire on it, but Mara's crew fought back with everything they had. As they approached the flagship, Athena activated the ship's remaining weapons. The main cannon fired one last time, striking the enemy's core. The explosion was massive, a blinding flash that engulfed the Xerix fleet. When the light faded, only a few enemy ships remained, retreating into the darkness. On the eternal dawn, the bridge was in ruins. Mara sat slumped in her chair, blood trickling from a wound on her forehead. "Report," she said weakly. Rin checked his console. "The enemy is retreating." "We did it." Mara managed a faint smile. "Good. Humanity lives to fight another day." As the damaged fleet drifted through space, the survivors clung to hope. They were the last of humanity, but they had proven they were not so easily erased.